Day soap is brought to us from Stirling. This one here came to me, by the way, Stephen Sprague. This is Scott Pine Sheep. The pine, Scott Pine is a reference to the scent, and then the sheep is a reference to the tallow that's used in this particular soap. 5.8 ounces. My nose is already itching this morning. And that's what it looks like there on the inside. It's the pine. I pick up the pine, the tree, not Pine Sol, the cleaner. I was trying to figure out what would be the best way to put that in. And like I say, for me, I pick up the tree. I don't. In other words, I don't pick up the cleaner myself. I'm going to follow the shave up with a aftershave from Yulay. This one here is called Fresh Trees. This one here comes in a plastic container. Does not contain alcohol, but it's a witch hazel based aftershave. And yeah, it's definitely straight up on the tree part. I thought the two would work well together. I have it whipped up here with a get it turned around here. Yaqi brush, 24 millimeter. I think this one here is referred to as dandelion. And the knot is a cashmere knot. Got it whipped up here in a small wooden bowl here. And it is on the wet side. It's not drippy, but it is moist and wet. And it's going to be a good shave today. Lather. I really do like how this whipped up, this lather. I'm going to go ahead and do another shave with the Baili Super Blue Blades. See how it works in this particular shaver that I've got here. This one here, I mentioned a few videos back. This one here is a Parker 11R. There's also a 1112. Not 1112, but a 12R. There we go. What the reference is to on the 11 and the 12R is a reference to the handle. And this is ox horn. This is, in other words, this is not imitation. This is the real deal. And so the colorations on this will vary from shaver to shaver. This one here has a little bit more of a very end here. There's a little bit of a blonde tint to it, but most of this is a kind of a brown color to it. And the 12 is I think it's black, but they will vary from shaver to shaver because it is natural. But anyway, that's this is one of those shavers that I would probably consider. It's out of the normal price range that you may see some of the Parker razors. A lot of the Parker razors are the dollars are just right around the $30 mark on most of them. This one here is going to be a somewhat more pricey because of the handle, what it's made out of. One of them I think runs around $55, and the other one I think is around 60, somewhere in there. Over the years, the prices have changed just a little bit. I think at one point in time, both of them used to be priced right around the $60 mark, and one of them has dropped in price just a little bit. I don't see very many shave of the days with this particular shaver with this handle. Once again, it is on the pricier side of things, but the my thought is, and I could be wrong, but trends of the day. By the way, this Phoenix Artisan Accoutrements Preshave Cube Christmas scented one. The way things have been changing over the years, it wouldn't surprise me that perhaps you won't see these handles being made anymore. These shavers come by the way of India, and with the culture similarly like here in the States, well, ox, cow, and what we use our cows for here, is for food, and ox over there, more or less the same thing. And so in other words, this is it's not quite like maybe what some might relate to a badger, for instance, what's being used for the badger for the hair, and how they're cared for and whatnot. So I don't know. It's just a thought that occurred to me because over time, as it goes for some folks' feelings on excuse me, on how badgers are being cared for, that some folks aren't using the badger hair anymore in their shaving brushes, or no, they're not carrying it, I should say. They're still making them, of course, but they're some folks aren't carrying anymore, carrying them in their stores anymore because of how the badgers are being cared for or not cared for. Is what the real point there. So anyway, just a thought that if you're interested in something like this, you might, as you might say, you might want to start considering getting one pretty soon before something is finally decided and no longer made. And I say I could be way off base, but to me it just seems like that is a pretty strong possibility. The It's just the trend of how things are in the world today. Like I say, just like our cows, we take our cows, and we use for food and whatever else. In other words, how can you say, not a lot goes to waste. I just think it's really cool that you get one that's made out of a actual horn, and it's just something that's for me is rare in my den. Matter of fact, I've got this one here and one other one, and that is it. That it has an actual horn. Now, if I have a straight razor, a vintage one that has actual horn for the scales, I'm unaware of it. In other words, I'm not able to tell the difference. As far as I can tell, I do not own one of those that has actual horn for the scales. Be pretty cool, but because it's just the material is the material, just knowing that it is different. In case you might say unique, that's the word I'm looking for. I have to say, in this particular shaver, with the grain pass, this blade's working. It's working pretty well. This is pretty smooth, and probably need to give some credit, maybe even to the soap. It's hard to tell sometimes. You'd have to use probably 2 different soaps and then use the razor in each one. Whether how much of the play of the soap is. Pretty good though. Once again, for my nose, the pine is not over the top. My nose doesn't pick up pine cleaner. It really does just pick up a pine tree. I checked both of these out, per my nose, and that was yesterday, just to see how close they are. And they're definitely both tree. My nose has always picked up, especially Bailei's aftershave, has always picked up the tree. My nose doesn't pick up the pine sol. And it could be just because a lot of people are familiar with the scent of pine sol, that's in their mind. That's what they pick up, automatically, because they're predisposed because of pine sol. It happens, and I understand, but for me, I have pine sol. We have some in the house. In other words, right over here in the bathroom, we have a jug of that stuff. And it could be a lot more to do with the fact that my nose is pretty sensitive to this sort of thing when it comes to greenery. It's, I'll never forget, first time we were walking through, it was Lowe's, and my wife and I, and early on in our relationship, and we were walking through where they have all their greenery, and I was pointing out stuff to her that, the words that my nose just objects to. No, not this bush. No, not this one here. And my nose would just, without a problem, ask, no, it does not like these things. And my wife was kind of surprised of all the stuff that I can smell. I definitely pick up the ones that I don't like. My nose just really has problems with it. And believe it or not, fertilizer is another one of them. It just, does not like it. For her, she didn't have a problem walking through the aisle where you can smell the fertilizer. My nose, it does not like it. And then there will be other things. She says, "Can't you smell that?" I'm like, nope. Yeah, my nose is sometimes from day, depending on what day it is a conversation about what I do and don't smell. She just gives me that kind of look like, I can't believe you. You can smell this, but you can't smell that. It's a point worth bringing up because, in my opinion, in that when it comes to scents with the with all the soaps and aftershaves and colognes and whatnot, she does like a lot of the cologne scents, and my nose sometimes I can't. It has to be really drastic on the colognes for my nose to really start to pick it up, and the difference in between them. But there's a lot of times I don't. It they don't. A lot of the colognes don't do a whole lot for my nose. Some of them they just smell nice, and yeah, that's about it. They just smell nice. I don't. It doesn't really do a whole lot to excite the senses, if you will. But if you go with a green tobacco or like a pipe tobacco scent or stuff like that, my nose picks that up, and yeah, I can tell the difference. But cologne scents, maybe it's could have a lot to do with that. Like I mentioned from time to time, it's just too well blended for my nose. Something a little bit more straightforward works well. For me, this is the scent is just it's I would not consider it's on the bottom of medium and maybe light for my nose. It's not over the top or anything like that in the scent, in my opinion, and scent strength. Really smooth shave this morning. Now I've had this particular shaver for a while, and probably I wish I had brought the case that this came in. Like I say, I've got two of them. Both of them came in similar cases, which are, in other words, it's not your typical box. This one here, in other words, it's strapped in there, and the box is padded. It's a nice container. It's one that you would probably want to keep. At least that's what mine came in. So you are getting a little bit more of the, how can you say, the premium setup with these kind of razors with the ox horn handles. But you're going to pay a little bit more for them. Pretty smooth. Even with the feedback, this is a pretty smooth shave. Still a little bit on the fence because, once again, it depends on where you're sourcing these blades from. I think for a 100 pack, $9.99, $10.99, they're not really expensive. But depending on where you're at with, I guess you might say, your stock of blades, I have quite a few blades. And this particular kind, I've got crystals already, and a few others that shave pretty close to this. But if you're looking at trying some of these out, they might be worth a try. The super blue, I guess you might call them, platinum Teflon coated, if I'm not mistaken. Pretty good shaves, can't complain. I just don't really, I already have some that fit that bill, if you will. In other words, you got to start drawing the line on how many different kind of blades you're going to stock. Should mention also that this particular pack, I think, is a 10 pack as opposed to, 10 pack instead of just 5. Thought it was a pretty good, it was a good, I guess my choice to give them a try. I think I've got one. I have to look again. It's probably buried somewhere now. One that's referred to as a cloud blade that comes from China. I haven't tried one of those. Sometimes it takes a little bit to work up the courage to try some of the blades, because after you get one bad one, kind of have a tendency to be a bit picky with them. Still got that coming up right there, and I think that's a blemish right there. Now over here, at one point, I think I got the angle off on the blade. Got just a little bit of a weeper the other day. might be closer to a nick that just popped up at the end of the shave. In other words, after I put the aftershave on is when it popped up. Very nice, smooth shave. I like this base. For me, these sort of things work well for me. I know for some people, when it comes to tallow-based soaps, some say they can smell the tallow. My nose is not sophisticated enough to be able to do that. As goes for slickness, in between a tallow soap and a vegan, I don't know that it's more of I can tell the difference on the post shave or even during the shave. I can tell the difference in between the vegan and the tallow. Is one better than the other one? Mercy for me. I don't know. I could say one way or the other. Now, I know I have a preference. I do enjoy the tallow. And to me, the post-shave is different, but both of them are unique and both of them are nice. I don't have an issue with either one of them. Matter of fact, I've got plenty of vegan and tallow, and in other words, I don't have enough of a opinion to say, well, I'm not going to buy any vegan, or no, I'm not going to buy any tallow. The performance of both of them are nice. They definitely fit the bill. Now, I should mention, I think probably already are familiar with the Yulay aftershaves. You do have to shake it. It will separate, and so you will have to give it a good shake. And all of Monica's aftershaves are like that, as far as I know. I don't have one that you don't have to give it a good shake, which is not that big of a deal. But for some folks, at least for me, it's not a big deal. For some folks, it is. They don't like the aftershaves where the contents separate and you have to shake them back up. Some folks don't like that. That is something to be aware of. That's one of the things that's off-putting to you, that it doesn't stay blended, that you do have to shake it up. All of Monica's, as far as I know, are that way. So if that's an issue, these kind of aftershaves won't be for you. For me, they're great. Hey, this is the pine it's a tree. I mean, my nose definitely says tree as opposed to the cleaner. It smells really good. I had a great shave today. Believe it or not, that's the last of my Parkers. I still have some more on my want to get list, but that's the last one, so we'll be moving on to a whole new set of shavers. Hope everybody's doing well. Weather here is great. Yesterday is up in the 70s. We're not popsicles anymore. We're all thawed out. Stay safe, stay healthy, and smooth shaves to you.